Welcome back to Scinary Information Nexus, your podcast of...
That was a short one.
So we talked about it on the last episode. I thought I'd go ahead and bring him out. And Mario is absolutely right. This guy can go on for minutes. I was debating of how long to make that.
What the hell? Completely unexpected. I never saw it.
I didn't see him bring it in either. That was not.
Okay, I guess the chicken stays.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back, nerds. It is Friday, February 6th. As always, I am joined by colleagues and fellow degenerates, Joseph Hamilton, Mario Ortiz, and Brazos Wortham. Hello, fellas.
Howdy.
Man.
Hello, fellas.
So yeah, you got that in on us. And just to provide some background, I don't even know where that chicken came from, but that is the world's best squeaker chicken.
Oh, yeah. So think if you completely depress like all the air out of it, it's about a 5-minute squeal.
Yes, it is. And remember from last week when we were talking about the psychoanalyst place next door? Imagine that thing going off next door to a psychotherapy place. So
yeah,
I'm sure they'll be moving soon.
Hey, we've been wanting the suite for a while.
We have been wanting the suite for a while. So there is a lot to get to today. This is going to be a little different in that we don't have a specific topic to talk about, mainly because we've been really, really busy this week. So the topic is this week. And the first thing that I want to start off with is something that's very close to my heart. Brazos and I went out to Marlin ISD yesterday to welcome them aboard on the Central Texas Cyber Hub. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Yes.
CTCH.
Yeah. So the Central Texas Cyber Hub, Scinary is a member of this partnership, and we're actually funding the curriculum and everything. But what it does is it brings cybersecurity curriculum and resources to rural school districts so that these kids have a chance to learn about, technology and cybersecurity. So we're very, very proud of that partnership with Baylor University, with MCC, with Region 12, Keith and his team, and Terry Arndt over there at Region 12. So very, very good things happening.
Central Texas
yeah.
Community College.
Yes. CTC. Yeah. Central Texas Community College. I'm sure I'm leaving some other folks out, but it's a really, really good consortium, and we're really happy to be a part of that. And the reason why I know that it makes an impact is because, first of all, when this thing was formed, what they were going to do is take in like 8 rural schools, and took applications. I think we had 10 applications.
Yeah, there was like 14.
14 applications, wound up settling on 10. Mm-hmm. Right?
No. So originally we were going to take in like 3 schools, and then there were 14 applications, and we ended up taking, I believe, 8 schools into the inaugural cohort. So
right. And that program right there, I always say, and I don't know who said this, but whenever I get up and I speak to the schools, because it's a big deal to them, and the reason why I know it's a big deal to them is because they have media days about it.
Yep.
They call the media to come out there and cover it. It's a big deal for those rural districts. So
there was an article for KWTX, I know, and I'm sure KXSV and some of the others also.
Right. So it's absolutely a big deal for them, and well deserved. I mean, those rural school districts need all the help they can get in that area, and we're proud to help fund that initiative and be a part of that consortium that helps them do that. But that was really fun yesterday to go out to Marlin and see all the bright and young faces go into cyber, and over the years just watch them
melt.
Watch them melt.
And see our previous episode about burnout.
Yes.
So are you on the news again?
I am not on the news. So I got asked. So I don't remember which local news agency was there. It was one with a camera and a microphone.
KWTX.
It was KWTX.
Okay, so it was KWTX.
Bradley Vaughn, I think, or something.
That sounds about right.
I have no idea. The dude came up to me and said, "I'd like to get a few quotes from you." Shoved a microphone in my face, and I went over to David, and I said, "David, get over here and talk to this man." Because that is not my thing, right? I'm not here to talk on camera or anything like that.
We spoke to Richard Martin. He said, "David, get over here."
Yes, and that is my official position.
Technically, we did get on the news. Like where there was a recording of the picture,
Right.
the photo op.
Yeah.
but that's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, and I'm not very photogenic either.
We're
Most
on
of
a
the time,
podcast.
most of the time,
right
I'm
now.
standing in front
But
of
we
it.
got 12
That's
people.
videogenic. Videogenic is different.
He can only be appreciated in motion.
Plus, I'm loosening up. I got some devil's backbone here.
Yeah.
I don't think they would allow me to drink a beer on the campus of a school while I'm giving an interview.
I thought this was America. You're out there working hard. You're telling me you can't relax with the beer?
I got something to say to you media folks.
But the cool thing about that program as a whole is it does provide cybersecurity curriculum for freshmen all the way to senior. And the idea is that when they graduate as a senior, they will have industry certifications going out of high school, and where they can either choose the path of going to like a community 2-year school or industry or even like a 4-year university. And all of the community colleges that are a part of the program, they have like transfer I forget what like transfer programs.
Yeah.
So if you're going to like MCC, for example, all of your cybersecurity credits transfer to Baylor.
Yeah.
And then even coming out of high school, MCC is actually giving any of the kids that go through the program credits for going through the program. So
Right.
you get to save money.
Which makes sense. At least for MCC, I know that they've modeled their cybersecurity program to map to several of the certifications.
Yeah.
So if you're getting a certification, even if they didn't give you the credits right off the bat, you could waive many of those classes through having the certification itself.
I think the goal is by the time they get out of this cohort, like if they go through all 4 years in high school, they graduate high school with a Security Plus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's.
I think
It's
that's
So
Network
that's at least
Plus.
one
Yeah.
less class to take during
Right.
the MCC program, and I mean that's huge for
Yes.
rural students and especially any
Underserved, I would say.
underserved or underprivileged communities that may not be able to afford some of the bigger ticket ones. This helps them along that path pretty quickly.
Yeah, and some of the stuff that I've talked about when we're having our quarterly meetings or monthly meetings with the CTH board or CTCH board is the idea, and one of the reasons that I was really excited for this program is that with colleges, one of the issues that colleges currently face, both 2-year and 4-year, it's not really a problem that colleges face, but it's more like a student issue, is that sometimes maybe you think you want to get into cyber or you want to be into nursing or
Right.
whatever, but you have no way to try it out like early on.
Yeah.
Then you have to go do this big investment of both money and time to figure out you don't like something.
Right.
So this backs that ability to like test the waters up to K through 12 in high school. So, and what I told the board of the program was like, hey, I still count that as a success in a weird way, that if they go through this program and they realize that they don't like it as like a freshman or a junior,
They haven't spent thousands of
they haven't
dollars
spent
Yeah.
thousands of dollars
Right.
to go to school.
or gone into student loan debt to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. And again, coming from a rural location in Texas, the idea that we're providing resources for people to learn like high technology type stuff, I think is really important because many of these schools wouldn't even have a program.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, the thing is that, and again, I don't know, I'm going to have to look this quote up because I heard it from someone, but I just don't know who said it. Talent is evenly distributed across the world's population, but opportunity is not. And so if we have the ability to help opportunity for those that would not normally have it, because we know there's talent out there. We know there's drive out there. They just may not have the resources or the opportunity to really fulfill what they consider their dream. If we can help in any minuscule way of doing that, then I think it's a win overall. Plus, let's say they do finish their high school years out and they get that Security Plus and they go into MCC or one of our other higher ed partners. We've got a direct pipeline as an internship into us. And so that just
benefits us as well.
It benefits the entire industry.
Well, and not
as a
that,
whole.
but I always hold, it's comes down to like why would you fund education if you yourself don't need to like go become a doctor.
Right.
And it's like, well, I'd really like my doctor to know what they're doing.
Well,
I really want all of my tech directors at my schools or the technician staff at my schools that we work with to know what they're doing. And so having a pipeline like this also helps us out with the partners that we have in the community
Yes.
and the relations that we have with
makes
people in our
everybody
industry.
it makes everybody stronger.
Yes, it
Well,
does.
there's, I mean, to use a very, very old analogy, I mean, you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. You teach a man to fish, he eats
Right.
for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So there's that idea as well, is like one of the greatest things that you can do, like through philanthropy as a business, is the idea of building up education and giving people the opportunity to work in certain industries or building jobs. I mean, because that's going to allow people, again, opportunities where they may not have had it otherwise.
And increasing those opportunities increases that fish. It's almost like you're making the fish multiply.
Yeah, it's it's philanthropy is a good thing. It's an investment in humanity is the way I look at it. So absolutely happy to be a part of that. But that was just one thing. That's the last thing that happened this week. Last major thing that happened this week. One of the things that so I want to move on from that, and I want to talk about another topic that happened this week. Have y'all been watching the market?
Predictions have come true.
Is this a finance podcast?
Yes. Well,
The
this
finance
is
bros.
the finance portion of the podcast. So check.
Which, by the
this-
way, we kind of skipped over the beer. Beer same from last week, except I
Yes.
cleaned off the top, so now we can eat the devil's backbone.
yes,
But yeah,
Belgian
so we're-
style
or
triple.
drink.
I don't.
Eat or drink?
it's a meal, remember?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, this is lunch. That's
Yes.
right. I went back. I'm starting with lunch today, and
Right.
I'm going to go back to breakfast. So this will be
Well, I've got one of those too.
breakfast.
I
Well,
don't know.
Brenner.
Are we gonna?
Brenner.
I like Brenner.
Okay, Brenner, it is. Anyway, we made the prediction when we first came back in 2026. We had this whole podcast about 2026 predictions. And I think all of us were like, the AI bubble is going to pop. It's just a matter of time now.
Yep.
If you have been keeping up with the market in the last 4 weeks, the AI bubble is not popping. It is deflating slowly.
It's almost like someone just
There you go.
That is a noise some people made.
So yesterday, Alphabet, who is the parent company of Google, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And Apple. I'm pretty sure Alphabet owns Apple, Google, and
No.
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 Apple
What?
owns
No.
Apple.
Apple is Apple.
Where did you get that?
They
I'm gonna
own
Google it.
like DeepMind and Google and
YouTube.
Yeah.
maybe that's what I'm
Yeah,
confusing
but
it with.
they don't own Apple.
Apple is its own.
Apple is
public
Apple.
company.
Tim Cook,
Tim Apple, you mean, right?
that guy.
Tim
Anyway,
Allen.
they released their earnings yesterday. Or maybe it was Wednesday when they released them. Anyway, they had a pretty decent earnings.
Yeah, it was like over $600 billion in revenue.
Yeah,
And
but here's the thing, is that they said on their earnings call that they were going to invest $185 billion in AI, and their stock tanked.
Yeah, because all the investors know it's not going to work out.
So what was it last week? Microsoft tanked?
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, to the tune of like 10-12% at one
Yeah,
point.
it's
Yeah.
10%. It was a 10% drop. I mean, it's gone again. I think.
Has it gone down again?
Yeah, I mean, so just to give you an idea, I bought at the 10% drop, which was at 435.20. It is now at
Buy low,
398.
so
So I'm.
Yeah, so we weren't done with the
Yeah.
drop.
Yeah.
I didn't buy at the bottom, but no one can predict the markets.
Well, so here's the thing. Your boy trying to hedge a little bit when I'm not going to buy the individual tech stock. I'm going to buy the companies that support chip manufacturer and stuff like that, because maybe I'm wrong about this AI bubble thing. So I invest in like rare earth and gold and silver, and
Yeah, all them crashed
all of that took a dump too.
too. Well, but that crashed for a different reason. The gold especially. That crashed because of the potential new Fed chair.
the Fed chair,
and that whole
Yeah.
debacle.
I
So-
knew you guys were that short-sighted. All of my NFTs to the moon. You guys would never get it.
I mean, crypto and Web3 also not doing very
Ethereum
good.
is doing abysmal.
So-
It's
It's
almost,
sub
it's almost all of
2000.
the. It's almost like all these get rich quick
So-
schemes.
So
these,
Bitcoin was below 64,000.
So it did. I'm not going to say correct, but it did go up. It did drop, but it is now at 69,705.
but last week,
Nice.
what was it? It was
I mean, so
it was
okay.
98,000.
So 3 months ago, it was over $100,000.
Yeah.
So you have had a 32% drop, and this is across the entire cryptocurrency
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
It's not just Bitcoin.
well, and
Well, it's across the entire
Ethereum-
tech.
Ethereum dropped like 16%.
Well, and y'all-
over
y'all-
the
y'all
month.
know my-
Solana's negative 47.
I bought Dogecoin last night. It's up 22% today.
Well,
What'd you do with your other half of the penny you
Well,
that you made?
The thing is depending on how much you bought, you're probably the entire 27%.
I bought 1,000 Dogecoins.
Okay,
Cost me a
man.
dime.
yeah.
But seriously, the tech market is tanking right now. A lot of it I think the majority of it is the overinvestment in AI, and I think investors are spooked.
Well, I think, like I said, or like I've said for a long time, a lot of this stuff, including the crypto stuff, is a big smoke and mirrors campaign of trying to create false value where it doesn't actually exist, and they're using the hype engine of media and all these different we've talked about papers that they can buy and publish and make it sound really academic. We've talked about the way that the venture capitalist investment market works to just prop these things up and shoot them really high really quick so that people can make a good buck off of things and then maybe sell later. There's just so much working towards building this stuff up in this aggrandizing scale that just doesn't compute with what it actually is at its core, and AI is a perfect example of
Here is what I think I got this figured out.
One man from Golson, Texas.
One man from Golson, Texas will
Well,
solve this.
We know
Remember,
that-
not
we
everyone
know-
has not
we know
everyone
the
has equal
clickbait
opportunity.
title.
Yeah.
Right. So no, it's supply and demand. So check this shit out, right? So watch.
Very capitalistic.
So what does AI, when they invest in AI, what are they investing in? They're investing in code, right? Engineers, there's labor, but also they need hardware, they need the
Infrastructure.
SSDs,
They need
they need the
infrastructure.
GPUs,
Yeah.
right? So there's only so much of that supply there. So they're actually driving up the cost of the very thing they're trying to produce, and it's a cyclical effect, right? As they need to buy more of it, it's more expensive to buy.
Well, and especially because they're not focusing on the efficiency of the code, which has been a thing that's been coming out more and more. China has put us to shame a few times now. DeepSeek and the release of it was the first iteration of that, to where whenever they released that and investors started realizing how much you could do with so little computing power, they had to turn back around and ask, hey, you guys just said you need all this computing power and we're buying up all these chips. Where does that come from? Why does that exist?
Yeah.
And no one had a good answer for it.
Right.
And that still has persisted. Like, they just try to cover it up and just keep on moving and say, well, no, we need bigger and bigger scale things. We need more and more data centers. But at its core, there's a question underlying it, which is, why does your code need that much resources
I think it's
to
more,
achieve that?
I think it's more fundamental than that. There's not a business model. There's no business model. I mean, how are you going to monetize AI?
Cheats and perverts. That's all they got right now.
Well, right. But, that may be 97% of the world's population, but that's not going to make you money, right? So how do you monetize the investment in AI? They haven't figured that shit out because it's more expensive for them to run it than they can charge for it.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think that's going to be the main because like inference and compute and all the like inputs to the cost of AI are so high that what companies or individuals are willing to pay for it, it does not equal the cost for the inputs.
Yep.
Now, the business model for AI, I don't think is that hard to develop. I mean, you charge for the API calls or the tokens that are used on the back end. The problem is the actual unit economics of like what people would need to charge to make that viable is way too high, especially for what they need, which is broad consumer adoption to pay for all this.
Yes.
Right.
Because it's already been shown that something like Claude, even if you pay for the really crazy expensive, like $200 a month package, does not pay for the amount of usage that the people that are paying for that use. So there's a problem. It's like the same thing with Rivian. Every time Rivian makes a car, they lose money on the car.
Yes.
So it's the exact same idea. How do you fix that? Well, obviously, if we can make inference, make inference cheaper, make compute cheaper, like all of that would work. But it's like it doesn't seem to have happened. But then there's second order effects. Even if you make that cheaper, right? Well, now all these companies that have invested billions of dollars, they're now losing that money because a newer and greater thing.
And I still say at the core of it is because there was a misconception on the use case for AI and on, I think at its core, it became a get-rich-quick scheme as opposed to a, hey, this is a new tool that can help benefit humanity scheme. It was not trying to fill a niche in what is necessary for scalability, for
I agree
progress. With that. Instead, it became this clickbaity thing of we can get stupid people to buy this.
The thing
didn't work.
The thing that really turned the table here in the past 2 years was FOMO of these multi-billion-dollar multinationals. Meta, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Oracle.
There was the quote from Mark Zuckerberg. Well, I forget. He did like an interview, and they were asking him about the spend, like the CapEx on data center AI spending, and like his quote, and I'm not going to get it perfectly right, was just like, well, we have to. You either you pay it or you die.
Or you lose the opportunity to be at the forefront if this thing turns out. Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is, to your point, FOMO.
Yeah. That's what it is, and that's what's been driving the economy for the last 18 months. Like if you look at valuations everywhere else, saying your blue chips, I mean, they're where you would expect them to be. Right now, I mean, I think the last economic report that came out, the economy actually lost jobs. So unemployment ticked up a little bit. So without this technology investment, the economy could be in pretty bad shape.
That's probably another ironic effect of this entire debacle, is that at its core, it was propping up the economy, which means that a lot of the job losses that were happening were kind of covered up. But also they are contributing as well to some of the job losses. I don't think as much as what is being attributed.
No.
But there are certainly companies out there that the CEOs have it in their mind that, hey, I can replace workers with AI. I'm going to try it. And because that exists, they're actually exacerbating what's going to end up happening once it finally does fall through, because now there's going to be even less jobs or even more jobs that have been lost over that time. And it's going to have a greater effect on the economy because not only are those jobs being lost, but also those companies may go under because they also can't actually operate efficiently because AI does not replace workers very well.
Agreed.
So the thing, just like with anything, the further that you delay like an economic crash, the worse it tends to get.
Yep.
And I think for many years now, people have been pointing out that we're at the like prologue of an economic crash, but it seems like every time that it's like, okay, we think that's coming, it like something else comes out and like fixes the problem, or puts a Band-Aid on it, I should say.
About to say,
and so I think, as things are getting, again, we're going up and up and up and up the mountain, it's just going to make the crash worse, whatever that is.
Well, agreed.
And
and that's why I also don't think right now is like the crash, because I do truly
I think it's gonna crash.
I think it's gonna be a crater. Like
you still think it's going to?
Yeah, I mean
we're gonna wake up one morning.
This is maybe the beginning of it, but so what has to happen is AI has to fail, and that has to hurt the big companies.
Yeah,
but that's not going to cause a crash. After that, you have the after effects of what the AI industry has wrought. Agentic AI being out there, that's going to cause, like I've said, compromises using agentic.
Well,
And then, but then you also have the lack of workers.
what do you think about OpenClaw and Claudebot and all that?
Dude, that we need to save that for another episode, because I was just reading an article this morning that I shared with you about the number one like integration with OpenClaw was Amos Stealer, a Mac OS malware variant.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I think that's
and then of course the whole Molt book that came out of that, which there's some interesting back and forth with that. I've heard a lot of reports of people saying that all these AIs are communicating with each other and are doing these things, and then I also heard from one of our actually interns this last week that he had done some research on it himself and found out that there was potential that all of it was actually from vulnerabilities, and it was people getting on there and acting like AI doing crazy things.
I wouldn't doubt it.
And just so all these fun little things about Moltbook are also off the wall crazy, but they're probably not really AI.
Yeah,
So-
I don't know if it will continue. Like, so I've seen my fair share of like economic crashes in my life. I've never seen one like just gradually go down.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, normally it's a crater.
There reaches a point where all the investors, it's like a school of fish or a flock of birds. They all go in the same direction at the same time, and boom, you see it straight down. That's when you should be in cash, and then you buy.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, I think I could spend hours talking about this type of thing, but
No, we don't have hours to talk about it, Mr. Wortham.
And you got plenty of other fun things to talk about, right?
Yeah, we do. You know what else happened this week?
was that a government cover-up? Was that what that was?
I will not confirm nor deny.
We
I
have
plead
not
the
seen
fifth.
Mario in a while, so I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But so yeah, let me explain to everybody what's going on there. So last Friday, we recorded an episode of the podcast that started out well.
Yeah.
But then we got into the thing that we cannot talk about, which is going on in like all the worldwide news right now, and how hackers have decrypted some redactions. That's all I'm going to say about that, right? It went off the rails pretty hard after
No,
that.
it was very much on the rails.
Well, but yeah,
Very much.
We all
so.
knew what was going to happen the second you said it.
So obviously that is a charged topic, and in reviewing the footage I was like, yeah, we're not going to put this out.
The that episode is now post time, Pierre.
No,
It is post time. It is
we'll all
post
see it
time.
eventually.
So we're doing another episode as kind of a filler to that episode until Friday, where we can do our regularly scheduled episode and talk about things that really impact our clients, right? Because that thing did not impact our clients whatsoever.
Not directly.
Yeah,
hopefully.
not directly.
Pierre.
I'm just saying.
Did he say hopefully?
Well, you never know.
All right. New subject. Hurry.
Yeah.
Go.
So on that, I want to start off this podcast with the best quote I've ever read.
Okay.
At least for 2026. And it's courtesy of Pierre. Last night, I get this quote. I was thanking him for all the work he was helping do on a firewall when it turned out not to be a firewall issue. Joe pointed that out. And I was thanking Pierre via Teams. Thank you for all your help. And he said, of course. I just would have never expected in the year of our Lord 2026 that people would have DC's raw dogging the internet.
It was an interesting situation.
Yes, it was.
So talk about that a little bit.
Well, so there was an incident. I know we were all a part of it over the weekend, kind of bled into the week.
Yep.
And we're going through the firewall saying, why are we seeing these ports just open to the internet? Where are they? And I'm digging through the firewall. Nothing weird is natted. We have policies denying those services.
We can't even find the IP in the firewall. We're like, it's not here. It shouldn't exist.
And then Joe says, wait a minute. Is there another Nick on that DC? We go in there and just public IP on the Nick.
As you say, raw dog.
Yep. Yep. Which honestly, Brazos was talking about something earlier today that we had talked about as possibly being a thing we can talk about here. And I think it's a great segue after our burnout episode.
Okay.
Of the realities of cybersecurity and the fact that it's not Hollywood.
Yeah.
That oftentimes it is simple things that you don't think of at first and end up being what is the entire problem to begin with. It's why there's a constant joke in the industry of turn it off and back on again, or is it a layer one issue? It's because it is the simplest things, not these complex, like Hollywood-esque
nation state.
It's just it's not that normally, and the work that you do in order to get to the end result is not like James Bond. I'm going to break into things. It's not I'm in the mainframe. It's nothing like that. It's I slogged through logs for about 4 hours and finally found something that shouldn't be there because it just looked like it came from a weird place, and I don't know. I looked at so many logs that I know now what this person's like web history in life is because I had no choice in order to find this one thing that was weird.
Yeah. It's like the whole proverbial needle in a haystack thing, but that is probably more true in the cybersecurity industry than any other industry out there. I mean, you can spend hours just combing through network data, and that's just network data.
Yep.
Like that's one telemetry source. So then you start adding in EVTX logs from Windows machines. Yep. Then you go into like UTM controls and the firewall. Like there are so many areas that you can check looking for, like you said, one little thing that may look off. And sometimes it's not very easy. It could be something like, well, okay, that process ID is not how that should run. Like that's using process ID. It's NTL or what is it? Like NTLO kernel.exe is always supposed to launch with like 4.8, and it's
so the
crazy.
The thing about that is whenever we go into an incident, right, 90% of the time, 9 times out of 10, we kind of know what we're looking for. Like we know the vectors. We've been there before. Not our first rodeo. Brazos brought this up to me earlier in the week. It's one of those things. But 10% of the time, we run across stuff that we've never seen before, right?
Right.
And a lot of times that's what takes an incident requiring 48 hours of attention and turns it into days of attention. Meanwhile, you're trying to keep operations going for the organization because you don't want to shut them down from what they're doing. They don't want to be shut down from what they're doing. So we have to work around that. Of that 10%, about 10% of the time on that number, you run across an environment that you have never encountered before. In other words, all your servers are Active Directory read-only, or you've got DCs raw-dogging the internet.
Yep.
Right? And
or you're using Novell.
Or you're using Novell in another case. Yeah, it's one of those things that we call it Tales from the Sock, and I always said I was going to write a book one day called "You're Not Going to Believe This Shit." In every chapter, well, this is now chapter like 12.
Yeah,
right. I'm going to skip chapter 13 because that's a bad omen.
All right,
but
just like we skipped last week's episode.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, but the
so
other
now we know what's in chapter 13.
So the other thing related to that is we have a pretty good idea of like how these environments get convoluted, and because nobody plans to do that purposefully.
Yeah.
Right. Typically, the way that happens is that the technology folks are overwhelmed, understaffed. They don't have a lot of great support. They can't afford to call in third parties to help them with that, so they're doing the best they can.
Well, and under budgeted on top of those things.
Yeah, right. The thing that happens from that is they've got so many people telling them this thing is not working correctly.
They just make it work.
You just need to make this work. We've got X, Y, and Z occurring in the next month. And if this thing's not working, it's kind of game over. So please get it. So they will do anything that they have to do to get that thing up and running, because availability
Right.
is their most concerning thing. They have to have the technology available to them. And typically what we see when we go into those environments is, yeah, it's available to everyone.
Yeah.
Well, and
I just want to highlight one thing here, because I think there's another thing about like just stacking, like the idea of, and to explain that, to your point of like they just have to make it work, but it's like years and years and years of make it work, right? So you and it may not even be your original make it work
Right.
setup.
Right.
You may come into an environment that lacked documentation. There was nothing to tell you about how things are set up. So let's take a school district, for example. Generally, you have multiple campuses. So you've got, switching infrastructure, routing infrastructure, and like could be up to 18 buildings, if not more, depending on some of the larger school districts. And if it's not properly documented, think about all the infrastructure that exists there, and you have no idea where things are at. So all of a sudden something breaks, and now you're scrambling to figure it out, and then you go with that make it work mentality, and you introduce, more
Yep.
make it work.
Yeah.
And that, from the security perspective, like we're coming into an environment that we're even more, foreign to. We have no idea about any of this. So again, leading to that needle in a haystack situation.
Well, and so I think it comes down to three things. I think definitely the stacking effect, but even more so with especially these older public sector environments kind of stuff. They were designed and first implemented during a time where security was not part of the consideration. Often.
Not the primary consideration.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And so security by design is not in the design. And so they're trying to impose security on top of already insecure things. And then you have the change in leadership over time that also occurs in these positions.
Change of leadership, change of mission, many
Right,
different things.
exactly. But then you also have the budgetary concern. And so you have deferred maintenance on top of it.
Yeah.
So it's all three of these things kind of combining to make it to where, the pathways have been meandering. The original scope of work was completely different than the scope needs to be now. And you don't have the resources to actually address it.
And in all those years, you're constantly having management turnover.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
With competing objectives, competing priorities. So that just adds to
Right.
the
And we're not talking about the tech management. We're talking about the actual administration.
Yes, the administration.
That the tech has to go to and go, hey, I know you don't know how this thing works,
Yeah.
but it needs to be this way. And they go, well, no, but I want this.
Right.
Okay,
And
okay.
Oh, by the way, I took a look at your budget when I came in, and that is way too high.
Right.
Right. That happens.
Well, and
Yes.
not even just management, like kind of the stacking effect too, especially in the age of like as SaaS became like there was shadow IT, so people coming in, plugging in routers, switches, whatever.
Yep.
And then SaaS evolved, and so now not only do you have like your inside equipment you have to worry about, now you have all these outside entities that people can go just sign up for and throw your data into, and then you have no idea where that exists.
Yep.
And then what happens if they connect that to their account, like their Google? They go and sign in with their Google, and now you've got an
Or
application.
they're using your account and they like to reuse your passwords for all their own personal accounts.
Yeah, and I think it, again, all of this, we recognize we've been doing this a long time. When we go into environments, we kind of understand the challenges that our technology directors are up against. There's no doubt there are many challenges. The point of this conversation and mini rant is to say that administration, support your IT folks, ask them what's going on, ask them what they need, and then do your damnedest to provide it to them. Because I promise you that if the shit goes down, you're going to be better off if you go ahead and spend the money up front than spend it on the back end, right? So ask them what they need. Be in conversation with them. ask them to be honest. And, what do we need? And I'm the first one to understand because we operate in a technology environment as well. The next shiny thing. I know IT directors can do that, right? I get that. That is a risk.
Like maybe putting together applications completely using vibe coding and then tying it into dependencies that may or may not be vulnerable.
No. I'm talking about more specific things like this podcast room.
Yeah.
By the way, Scinary calendar next year, I hear, is dropping.
Is it?
Calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Or what, is it going to be like?
Did you guys not get invited to the photo shoot? That was just me?
Oh, dude.
Yeah, that was just you, man.
Dude.
Oh, that's what you mean. I thought Dev was putting together like a calendar app.
No. There's photos of cats.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be photos of us.
I didn't
cats are
even
better.
get the photo
Like,
memo.
Like I'm going to be December because I need to be covered up.
You think December's coming?
It's Texas, man. We can go swimming.
Donald, we can do the snow background, right?
Yeah.
But I want you to be July.
Damn right.
You know, this was supposed to be the realities of the sock episode.
Uh-huh.
Well, that is a reality.
And that goes back to the burnout. Sometimes you have to do something else.
Yeah.
For just a little bit.
Yeah. So getting back to the topic at hand, IT directors, we feel you, we hear you, we understand. If you ever need any help, we are here for you to offer as much as we can. We can't be on site. We can't reroute your network, but
one of the other things that we can do, and I've definitely been a part of those conversations many times, if you want to call and rant about what's going on, I understand. I've been a part of those conversations.
Part of your fee is therapy.
Yeah.
That's right.
We provide a lot of therapy. If you want to show up in person on Fridays, we'll even give you some booze.
Yep. The only thing is you have to kind of talk on the podcast.
Yeah. You can join.
Yeah.
Well, and depending on how much booze, the podcast may get shelved anyway.
Yeah.
That was not the booze's fault.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Not entirely.
Speaking of
And
shiny
I wasn't
things,
looking at you directly.
Yeah. Speaking of shiny things, though, I think we should talk about the new shiny thing that is getting put up all over the place that is a problem that we also wanted to potentially talk about, that I would caution tech directors or institutions anywhere from implementing, which is flock cameras.
That is a good segue.
Yeah.
That is a very good segue. So I am not familiar. So I'm glad you went to flock cameras because we were about to go into a Cisco bashing session. But
Yeah. We can save that one for a whole podcast.
Okay. And not Meraki.
Yeah.
ASA.
Well, we could talk about Morocco.
Yeah, okay. All right. But we'll save that for a whole
Duo
other.
is good, though. Yeah. Duo is good.
But they didn't build it. They bought it.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's got their name on it.
Yeah, well, But anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah, flock cameras. So y'all explain to me what flock cameras are. I know I've been hearing a lot of like chatter in the SOC about them, and I don't really pay that much attention to all that kind of chatter. So tell me what it is.
So to my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's a entity that is going around buying up spaces in public space to put cameras that have AI-enabled edge telemetry on them that can then go back to centralized apps and be rented out to, like, state departments, police.
They're not allowed to do that. Only the government can do that.
So again, it's a private entity that is doing this, and that the cities.
So they have to get permission to do that. They just can't put up cameras.
They do have to get permission to do it in public areas, but in a store parking lot, they don't.
They have to get permission of the store owner.
So the store owner, right?
Basically, what they're doing is they're going. So there's the public sector side,
yes,
which is I in my personal opinion, I think that this system is bad. No matter if it's a private entity or a public entity, I don't like the idea of what they're trying to do.
Right.
It's made worse by the fact that they're going to public entities like for example, Austin. and they're going to the city council, the mayor, whatever governing body that they can. They're setting up contracts with these places, which specifically a lot of times with the police department or federal agencies, to deploy surveillance cameras, which, again, surveillance cameras have been around for a very, very long time. The main difference here is with the introduction of AI. Basically, you have a profiling system on the back end of it. So what you can do is you can, like anything else with, if you've ever used, like there's some models where on your phone, like you can type in, you know, your name and it'll pop up all the pictures that have you if you've trained it on that. Or, you know, all the pictures with cats, and then all of a sudden it pops up all the cats. Well, this can do something where very similar, but from a criminal perspective. So just as an example, let's say you say, I want to look at all white males over the age of 50 wearing a black t-shirt. And so it's the AI will go and render that whole, like go through its entire footage database and pull you out every single thing that matches that description.
Which they can then put together like the path you tend to take, who you tend to interact with.
So I guess here is my question. They have to get permission to put this in public places from the city or the county or whatever municipality, right? So does the city or local government get access to all this stuff?
Yes. Well, typically it's a contract with like a police department or the government or whoever. And so they do get access to it, but just like any sort of SaaS application, so does the company. Yep. And the bigger thing here is the way that they tend to sell this is kind of suspicious. So what they'll come in and say, hey, these aren't facial recognition cameras. They're license plate cameras.
Yep.
But the problem is like you can clearly see the ability, and it has been well documented that they're not being utilized just for license plates.
Yep.
People have utilized them to profile people, stalk people, all kind. And when I say people in this instance, law enforcement and government officials. The other thing too is that you're building a nationwide
surveillance network.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
and what's more is there are centralized apps already coming out that use the data from all the flock cameras, as well as some other resources, and compiling it together into databases to where they can pull up anyone's information and know everything there is to know about them.
What city government would allow this to happen?
Many.
One that wants money.
So I can tell you
how are they getting money from this?
I guarantee you've seen one.
No, I have not.
You have seen a flock camera.
Where?
Every time you drive into West Texas, there is one sitting right there before the 7-Eleven.
There's a couple in Hewitt.
Yeah.
Like multiple.
I'm never going to Hewitt or West again.
So
because here's the danger
the way
with
they
this.
sell it for money, because you're asking how they make money off it. The way they're selling it is the license plate part. Is, hey, we're going to make it to where you get more tickets and your department makes more money.
What is this? Is this Britain? Do we live in England now?
Well,
China.
I would put it closer to China, because how far is this from a social profile? How far is this from having a social credit score?
And I want to point out, because this is the thing that bugs the hell out of me here in the state of Texas, and I've been saying it for a while. We are a state that banned traffic cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Like how, like what is the hypocrisy of allowing this shit to exist in the state when we banned traffic cameras? Like that's the thing that I have not gotten and do not understand at all.
So here's the danger from my perspective. That is there a chance that I get misidentified?
Yes.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's happened often.
Yep.
But because AI is rendering the image, it looks just like me.
So there is a very well documented photo, and again, Louis Rossman and I think it's like Jordan.
We love our Clippies.
Jordan something, I forget his name, has done a lot of really, really good YouTube videos on all this stuff. But there was a video of a police officer walking up to a woman and had a warrant, I believe, and saying like, hey, and they were, I think, from a town over, like, we caught you like stealing something And she was like, and had all of the documentation on her phone and everything showing she was not in that location at all. But the camera said she was, because it looked like her car. And so that was enough to get a warrant for her arrest, despite it not being validated at all. And there plenty of proof to suggest the otherwise. And it took the chief to basically come in and say, no, don't do that. But the cop, like, there's a video of saying, like, hey, you can't breathe in this town without us knowing about it.
Well, and so there was a big deal
insane.
There was a big deal about the FISA courts and wiretapping after the Patriot Act. And this is honestly more advanced to a degree and much more pervasive, or at least it's getting more pervasive over time. And getting the warrants now is not an FBI or CIA level thing to where there's some oversight, and it's your
No, Andy Taylor and Barney Fife can do it.
right. Exactly. It's the local constabulatory, if you want to go to the Britain side, right? So there's that problem. But there's, I think, a bigger problem in this altogether, which is that they are exceedingly vulnerable. There is a few YouTube videos out there, but there's one that I'm thinking of where the guy actually hacks over 40,000 of the flock cameras.
There was the one, which may be the one that you're talking about, where they had a demo site for these things, and it had an API endpoint that was exposed, and inside there was an API key that they found. So, but instead of it just being limited to the demo site, this was an API key for every single one of them.
So you can make your own surveillance app and stalk your own people and don't even have to be police.
The thing about that was also crazy is, so there was the whole Denver meltdown a while ago about this, where the city council had denied the spending for the cameras, but the mayor came in and said, no, we're going to do that.
That's crazy.
And so that was a whole thing. And in kind of the whole fallout of that, he came in and said, well, no, we're going to restrict access to only Denver, like the city of Denver PD. No one else is going to have access, no federal government, no outside PD, whatever. Well, they found when they pulled that API key that was a bold-faced lie. Like basically everybody had access to it. It wasn't just Denver.
Because the company itself relies on that access to the cameras. So that is a feature of how they work. Everyone gets access to all flock cameras. Who has flock cameras?
Yeah,
basically,
and the
once
way
you
they
get access to one, you get access to them all.
And the reason for that, like the selling point, is like you can basically use that surveillance network to identify crime.
And the way they sell it to private entities is like, if you're a store owner, well, you want to know someone shoplifted. Do you want to know where they are so you can send the police? So put a flock camera in your store. Put a flock camera outside in your parking lot. And now you know their license plate number. Now you know where they live. Now you can go get that information over to the police and say, "Hey, this person stole from me. Go get them."
You know what that's going to lead to? An increase in cosplay.
More masks.
So
in
there
public.
is actually a fun little thing of people that are putting more and more. It's a special like light display around your
face.
No, around your license plate.
Oh, yes.
That actually obfuscates your license plate from these kinds of cameras and makes it harder for them to read them.
Yeah.
Of course, it'll still try to get the make and model of your car or whatever, and then of course, if you get out of your car near it, it will then ID your face and tie you to the car's location, and so there's that.
What's the because this sounds like a really good case for civil liberties peoples, like that can't be allowed to happen. So I understand government wants you to stop running red lights. They put a traffic camera on a red light, right? That's one thing. But randomly putting cameras.
Oh, and they're like, again, you drive down Wortham Bend, right? And where McLennan County switches over to Bosque County, there's one right there. It's out in the middle of nowhere. And you can pretty easily identify them. They're pretty like blatant. They've got like a big black pole with a solar panel on the top. Like they're not hard to, miss. And so it's not like they're just putting them again. And I don't even think that would be good, but on like courthouses or something, they're literally putting them everywhere. Like they're city parks, they're putting them on roads. So like anywhere that you're driving, they can track you where you're going. They can track what you're doing, what you're wearing, build in, like Joe said, an entire profile around you. And
but using AI to enhance.
Right,
Yeah.
which we know has hallucinations and problems with it.
Yeah.
The problem is as you said on the civil liberty side, it's actually kind of hard to fight because although you believe it would be in violation of the Fourth Amendment, right, and you know, needing some kind of probable cause for it, technically speaking, we have allowed surveillance to some degree or another in the public spaces for a very long time now. And you know, there's no problem with someone having surveillance footage.
So local surveillance, like we've got surveillance in our building,
Right.
We do.
Yeah.
That is our choice.
Yes.
To do that. If you want to come to work for Scinary, we tell you we are monitored 24/7. We've got
Right.
cameras. We've got door access controls. We've got all those things.
So, but then do you as the business owner, does that violate my privacy?
No, it does not.
Right. So, but the city also has an onus to make sure that civil properties are protected. There's surveillance cameras outside the PD, right?
Here's the difference. That's a local thing, right? It's not tied into a national database.
well, I think the problem is even if it
As
is
far as I freaking know. I mean, who knows anymore?
the thing is like people have been like information sharing between different police departments, local and federal. That's been going on for a while, and yes, local government, they have the earnest to be able to do that. I think there is the Supreme Court case. I can't remember what exactly it is, but there is the whole idea that what people will say is you have no right to privacy in public. There was a Supreme Court case that did decide that, like objectively, that you do in fact have a right to privacy even while you're in public spaces. Again, I forget exactly what the Supreme Court case was, but it's been very well documented in many of those YouTube videos that comes out. So the main issue with the Flock stuff is that, so prior, you had to have someone manually review that. Like if they wanted to track you, that was possible prior to this.
Hours and hours of video
It would
footage.
take hours and hours and hours of video footage. Not only that, but you would have to rely on the local government controlled cameras, which only exist in a couple of extra locations, right? And then if you wanted Scinary's cameras, like if the PD wanted Scinary's cameras, they'd have to come up and subpoena us, and then they would have to get that footage. So if you wanted to build
I know that all too well.
true profile of someone, right? Think of all the time it would take you to do that.
Right.
Forever. With the Flock cameras, you put in a couple of queries, natural language. So like you said, Barney 5 himself could go and just type some stuff in and track you from the time that you leave your house to the time that you go to work. And then wherever else you go, if you like to, visit Otley's, they know you went there. And
Hey, I don't need a Flock camera. So is this camera near Otley's?
it's a
They
little
got it
bit further.
in Otley's.
No, I'm pretty sure those guys would.
You would not have it in Otley's.
No,
those are
it's-
some good old boys there.
It's a little bit further up. It's like where that road comes in like this,
Okay.
right before the 7-Eleven.
All right.
It's like Bear Contracting. I forget. It's like
Now you know where to avoid.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing of it is this is just another piece in the surveillance that has been slowly increasing over time from all of our devices. I mean, this is not so. Prime example is BitLocker, right? So BitLocker, you think your stuff is secure, right? Well, turns out Microsoft was sharing BitLocker keys to federal authorities without needing a subpoena or anything else like that. They were just basically asking for it, and they were giving it to them.
What?
Yeah.
It was a major news article that came out over the last couple months. So the fact of the matter is there are several large entities that control most, if not all, of our data. That includes home address, social security number, who you like, who you don't like, what you like to eat, how you like to shop. And then what's more is because of the increase in engagement and that being a way that social media and most media now works, they also get to decide what you view most, what you engage with the most, what keeps you engaged the most. And then maybe drop a few nuggets of, by the way, this is the really good thing to buy that you always like. You should go spend that money. And then they now have dynamic pricing on top of it, where they get to decide, oh, your wallet is a little bit bigger than his wallet. I'm going to charge you a little bit more for that same thing.
That is so dystopian.
But that's where we are now.
Yeah.
Everything, the AI bubble is a bubble, but it has also brought about a brand new world as far as what surveillance technology is allowed or capable of doing.
Interesting.
Related to that though,
Yeah.
have you guys seen the Nest Super Bowl commercial that
No.
everyone's going crazy about?
It's well, not Nest or the
It's Ring.
Ring, one of the
Yeah,
doorbells.
Yeah, it's like the dog one, right?
Yeah. I don't know if it was like a separate app or it's built into their current app, but they were saying like, yeah, if you integrate into this network
You
of
can
Nest
save
cameras,
someone's
you
dog.
save dogs, and it showed like all the cameras activating to look for a dog. So it's like
Yeah, so it's
they're all
literally
connected. It's the same as the
So what if
phone.
I
it's like
wanted
a-
to look
it's-
for
it's like a neighbor-
child? What if I
Exactly.
wanted to look for
Exactly.
my neighbor?
Yep.
It's a neighborhood watch thing. But,
Yeah.
I mean, that's an opt-in thing, right? You don't have to be a part of that.
No, I'm pretty sure it's an opt-out.
Yeah, I couldn't
Really?
remember if it was like a separate app
Most-
or
Oh,
it's
so
integrated
if you opt
in.
out, you're the asshole that doesn't want to find somebody's dog.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly. That's
and
how they're.
That's if you can figure out how to opt out or where to opt out,
Yeah.
because these UIs oftentimes. So it's just like the whole click to cancel thing, right? That was a big thing that they tried to push from a rule side on the was it FCC?
And I'm sorry to interrupt
go
you here,
ahead.
but there's one thing that I really want to point out with that, because I am not going to be surprised if it, and it probably already is, to be entirely honest, but the Ring stuff, because that is getting into like even people's equipment right now. I haven't really been a big fan of Ring or any of the commercially available cameras for a long time, but school districts.
Yep.
And the amount, like the same exact thing is going to be preying on people, like superintendents and the board. Like,
Yeah.
hey, secure your schools with
Yeah.
AI-enabled cameras so it can identify. And I think it's already happened.
I was going to say, wasn't that already a thing?
I'm pretty
So,
sure
so there was a kid who got arrested by the police. They actually called the police, had this kid arrested because it registered his Cheetos bag as a gun.
Yeah, like the gun cameras. Yeah.
What?
I remember hearing about that.
So it's supposed to stop school shooters, and so it's constantly looking for weapons in the school. And it flagged this kid as having a gun at school. That came and arrested him, took him to jail, and turns out it's because he had a Cheeto bag at lunch.
Oh, no, not
Crazy.
Chester.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Dang.
so
He's an op.
there is I truly understand the idea, like the feeling, the emotional side of that you want it. I mean, that's how security comes into mind, right? And we work in security.
They're
get it.
preying on it.
But
Yeah.
I truly, and this is my own personal opinion, but I don't think that should be in schools. I really don't think it should be
agree.
in schools. I get it, but man, is it scary?
Well, it's a slippery slope, is it not?
Yeah.
I mean, so in my mind, cameras are a preventive control. I used to do physical security audits, but long before Scinary and cyber was even a thing. And in those physical security audits, I looked for what looked like a camera in place. I didn't care if it was working. I didn't care if it was recording. I didn't care if there was VHS tapes back then. What I cared about was it was visible and it was prominent.
Right.
Because the idea is if there's a camera up, then people are going to think twice about trying to do something nefarious. Same thing back. This is way back in the good old days when you'd walk into like a Sears or they'd have these jewelry islands, right? And there'd be just these little barrier doors. Anybody can jump over those doors or whatever. But the idea was it's a door. You're not supposed to go down in that, right? It's the same idea.
Yeah, like greeters in a grocery store.
Exactly. You are being watched without being watched,
Yeah.
basically. And,
Right.
And what we found through extensive studies, like on the jewelry islands, they wouldn't even worry about the door. We'd call it a smash and grab. They'd just smash the glass and grab a bunch of crap and leave. Right. So people were going to do what people are going to do, regardless of all of that. So the camera thing, like it's good
Well,
But-
so I'm going to push back on that a little bit
Yeah.
because I think you'd actually normally classify that as a detective control. And I get what you're talking about with preventative, but did it actually prevent it? Can it actually prevent
So
it?
the idea was it is a type of preventive control because the idea is if you look at it and you don't do anything, then it prevents something bad from happening.
But overall, it won't actually prevent it if they wanted to go through with it.
No,
They would
absolutely.
just do it.
Yeah.
So there's actually been programs. I think there was one piloted in California. I can't remember where in California. May have been LA. I'm not 100%. For the police, actually, that use things like the surveillance from flock cameras, though this was before flock was a big deal. And what they do is they use basically like a weighting system for individuals based off of whether they've been arrested before, where they live, what kind of spending habits they have.
Yeah, that's a profile.
Right. But they use it for stops.
Well, you can't. Profiling, you can't profile for
So
traffic stops.
So they
yeah,
were
you're
using,
not supposed
Well,
to.
it's illegal. In fact, our sheriff here in McLennan County came out last week and said profiling is illegal and his deputies are not to do that, regardless of what the federal government says.
right.
Like,
Because the Supreme Court did just rule on it very recently that
Yeah.
actually you can use things like skin color as a basis for stopping.
no, you can't.
That is what the Supreme Court said.
We're going to have to verify that because I don't think that's the case.
I don't know about that.
I don't
but
think that's the case.
I will say it happens. Like
Yeah.
people
Yeah, of course it
people
does.
do it. Not just like everyday people. Like, and I know everybody at this table has been sitting at some public place, and I know me and you know a guy walks in tatted from head to toe.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you see that guy and you're like, oh man, like instantly your hair stands up,
Yeah.
right? Like inadvertently you just profiled that guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Well, it's part of human
dude,
nature.
Nicest in my the dude that we know, nicest guy on the planet. Super nice. But if you saw that man walk into, let's say, a bar, you would probably be like, okay, this guy means trouble without talking to him.
Yeah.
So then let's take that and apply it, that very human nature, right, to somebody that has authority. It's
Right.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right? It's gonna happen.
The problem is with systematizing it,
Yeah.
which is what that was.
But the other thing that I want to talk about on that, like the profiling and the weights, like, and this is just my own kind of headcanon, I thought of it as you were talking, is the idea of like you have these profiles of people, these weights of people. Yeah, law enforcement have it, big no bad thing. But what if they start sharing it to like insurance companies?
Oh,
So-
dude.
So again,
Like-
they do. So there's an entire system of information brokers and data brokers that's what they do. They call them personas and they sell
Oh,
them
well-
to various different companies,
So-
including marketing, but also insurance.
Well, I do know. Okay, so now that you mention it, there was that company that like what they would do is they would partner with like tow companies and they would pay people, regular people, to put like cameras on their car and just have them drive around. So, and it would take pictures of
crazy.
like everything around you so that if it would identify a license plate that was supposed to be, you know, like, what's the word?
Impounded.
Not impounded
Oh,
or like
repoed.
repoed.
Yeah,
there we go. Like repoed,
Ask me how I know.
it would send the notification to the repo company who would come and pick it up.
Wow.
Right. But also I think they were partnering with things like insurance companies and stuff to send that data based on just driving behavior of people around them.
Well, fellas, this has been a very interesting topic.
So much better than the last one.
Well, and something I think that we need to discuss with facts in hand.
Sure, yeah.
Like, I think this needs to be another episode by itself, because I've got a lot of questions about it, and the efficacy behind it, the legality behind it.
I mean, regardless of all that, I can tell you most of this stuff is happening.
No.
Yeah.
I agree, but I want to make, I think we need to do a deeper dive into this,
Sure.
because it does concern me that you've got a company, not a government, companies putting up cameras everywhere, selling that data to local government and probably federal government, state government, name the government. How do we know they're not selling it to Canada?
You don't because it's a private entity.
I mean,
So there's-
if this data is leaking out to Greenland, we're going to have some issues because they are now.
Don't start firing that up.
Yeah.
There's a fun book that was like the progenitor of a lot of the concern academically of this, which was The Age of Surveillance Capitalism.
Yeah.
And it goes into a lot of detail of Google's rise, but it just used Google as a proxy for the greater macrocosm of what's happening.
This is like Joe's favorite book. It gets brought up like every other podcast.
Yeah.
Well, and
I told you it was going to be a thing this year.
Yeah, and we'll get into that. But the last thing I want to talk about before we leave today is the banned technology thing in Texas, because this week we got a list from a client with the URLs and IPs they are to block in their firewall. And what was the number? It was 197,000.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy number.
And it wasn't like there was a lot of URLs in there, but there was also in that 197,000, it was like also CIDR blocks that were in there. So slant 22s. And so
how much of AWS do we block?
Doesn't matter.
That's the thing, is that in the age of, the people watching us is bad, and we're going to block all of these IPs because Chinese is bad.
They're using American CDNs.
Yeah, exactly. But we allow the physical cameras to come up and invade our privacy that way. So, dude, state of Texas, pick a freaking lane, man. I don't care which one it is. Just pick one. I'll either be for it or against it. It doesn't matter.
Just be consistent.
Just be freaking consistent, because that's the problem with government, is they're not really all that consistent.
Yeah. And this is a whole nother topic. I did hear something, and I should stop. But the thing about this, I did hear something that was interesting about the consistency thing with government. And I do not support this, by the way, but I have heard that is kind of the reasoning for like having longer term limits for things, because of inconsistency in the way things get handled. I think
I might
interesting thought,
because it's a pendulum. It's like new party comes in, throws
think-
everything out.
I think I'd be more okay with longer term limits if there were maximum terms.
Yeah.
So you could have a 6-year term instead of a 4 or 2 year term, as it is with some of these appointments. But you only get like two or one.
I think that's typically the way that goes, is you have like a longer term, but then once that's done, it's like one more term, or you're out. And that's it.
So join us next time on the podcast that's supposed to be about cybersecurity, when we talk about everything except cybersecurity.
We're going through the government.
Yes.
Can we do my manifesto? That'd be fun.
No, we're not going to do your manifesto. Nobody wants to hear your manifesto.
Everyone else calls it a manifesto. I want to be very clear about this. Everyone else calls it a manifesto. I do not call it a manifesto. I'm not that big of a conspiracy nut. I just like playing one on TV.
Yeah. Says the guy that got our episode banned.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, back to your regular programming.
Thank you, guys. I don't know how this is going to come out, but thank you for watching, and we will be back next week with another episode. Everybody say goodbye.